Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, for another rendition of IU Southeast Baseball. Have another conference weekend getting moved up by weather. Kyle Hawkins here alongside Ben Reel. How are you doing this morning, Ben?
Blues Clues ready to roll. We got a package here on a Thursday.
Excited to have you, and we will be hosting the Trailblazers of Ohio Christian today. That brings them and their both teams' second conference weekend. Ohio Christian comes in at an overall record of 3-10 and 1-2 in conference. That matches up conference-wise. The Grenadiers also 1-2. Both of the teams losing their conference opener last weekend.
Was last weekend all cross conference? Was everybody 1-2?
I do believe so. Yes. That's a good question. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Point Park IUK 1-2. You know, I don't think anybody swept a series or went 0-3. I don't think.
Yeah. So, see if we can't
something
get
to talk about on our 10-hour bender.
Yeah, as we buckle in here to get things going. Luke Schaefer will be on the mound for the Grenadiers here in Game 1. Schaefer comes into, this will be his sixth start with a 2.53 ERA across 32 innings already. Boast a 29 strikeout to 7 walk ratio. And his first victim will be number 2 for Ohio Christian. Carter Smith will lead things off.
I'm excited to see how Ohio Christian is this year. I know their skipper has done a great job last year. You know, they came up one game short of the conference tournament, but it was really great run for the Trailblazers.
Yep. First pitch from Schaefer. That one's going to be hit high and towards the standing water out there in foul territory, getting a good run, and no one's going to be there in time.
Everybody's dry and everybody's ACLs are intact. That'd be a win.
Yeah, just some more weather. Early season, as seems to always be the case. Original dates for the series were supposed to be Friday, Saturday. Instead, we will have the doubleheader today with hopes of playing the single third game tomorrow morning. That seems unlikely, so could be a broken up weekend. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for that information. So Schaefer looks to deliver, and that one's going to be chopped and going to be a tough play. Murphy there makes the throw, and a good play there from the Grenadier catcher to spin and, able to find Flock at first with his back turned the whole time.
It's an incredibly tough play. Great route by Murph. Direct line of the ball. Pivoting, making a really strong throw. Good sign to see in terms of a play he can make in his bag of tricks.
Yeah, and that brings up the designated hitter for Christian. He's going to hit the first pitch to the third baseman. A great diving stop there from Slater as he goes over and makes the play. As Christian wasting no time. They're swinging early, but, two great defensive plays to start things off for the Grenadiers.
It's like the and one highlight reel for –
just from the beginning.
Yeah, it's like, let's see everything you guys got. It's good for Shea to keep his pitch count down, early action, just getting everybody involved. Gives teams a lot of confidence going in, making some tough plays on the home side of the inning. Usually I feel like when you play good defense early, you flash the leather. Usually it lends to offensive production.
And second pitch to Sterrett is going to be grounded to Burdett at second. So I believe, a 5-pitch inning to start things off for Luke Schaefer, as that's going to send us to the bottom half. Obviously no score, so Grenadiers looking for a chance to strike first in the bottom of the first here in New Albany. Slater Shield set to lead off the bottom of the first inning. It'll be Shield, White, and Putnam due up, followed by Powell, Burdette, Flock, Murphy, Hazelwood, and Long. And they will face the starting pitcher for Ohio Christian, Tyler House.
I'm anxious to see how we can turn it around this weekend, just our overall approach to the series and, when it matters.
Yeah, Grenadiers offense struggled mightily in the latter half of last weekend. I know a big point and topic of conversation for the entire coaching staff and definitely head coach Brett Neffendorf as I talked to him this week, as that pitch is going to be well outside to even things up to Shield at 1-1.
It's a marathon. It's just like we talked about on our break. There's times of the year where you're learning lessons and you're still coming out as the victor. When it feels really tough is when you're learning tough lessons and your record reflects it.
Absolutely, and never been the quickest starting team we've been. So
yeah,
definitely in no way panic button. But House delivers a called strike to even things up. And the 2-2 pitch to Shield is a breaking ball. That one's hit high. I don't know if he got enough of it.
It's a large left fielder.
Yeah, as Spencer Crane over to make the play.
I think he's a legacy. I think his brother played here or played at Ohio Christian. Yeah, Ohio Christian, you'll see that with some of these smaller private schools where it's like there's like it's like generational.
Family affair.
Yeah.
And that will bring in the Grenadier center fielder, Mason White. First pitch to him is going to miss for ball one. Give you House's numbers up to this point. And just his third start across 5 2/3 inning does boast a 9.53 ERA rather, as White is going to get himself a base knock, so the Grenadiers have a runner on here with one away.
Yeah, we got to get Mace going this weekend. I feel like last weekend, we spent time in our pregame show talking about, where he was nationally and what he had done, to really energize and carry the Grenadier offense, but I feel like it was muted.
Yeah, I think it was kind of whenever Mace fizzled out last weekend is when the entire offense kind of came to a halt for the Grenadiers. So see if he's able to, like you said, kind of energize this offense a little bit as the shortstop for IU Southeast, Cody Putnam, watches a breaking ball in there for strike one. But finishing up on House's numbers, like I said, 5 2/3 innings coming into this. 3 to 5 strikeout to walk ratio, so he's going to look to try to settle into the zone as it's still early in for him.
Yeah, 5 walks, 2 hit by pitches, and 7 hits in 5 2/3. Base path's been littered.
1-1. That one's lifted high by Putnam. Under it.
It's good to see, though,
Henry.
Ohio Christian, they've committed to this over the years where, House is a freshman. I always like the process of getting a young guy out there and kind of putting him through the gauntlet. I know Ohio Christian's transitioning to another division and conference, outside of the NAI next year. But, get a guy like this some, good mileage this year, I think will really, should lend to him having a great career.
And Luke Powell's going to watch first pitch it in there from House for a called strike.
Yeah, and a good sign, freshman, arm is on the mound, and he's wants the ball to go glove side or arm side early, and it's doing it. So. Yeah,
and he's not shying away from the Grenadier hitters as he's trying to be on the attack, as that one is going to be fouled down the first baseline as White was off and running, and a defensive swing. An interesting swing there from Powell, as that was a little more defensive, especially 0-1 with a runner going, trying to get into scoring position with 2 outs. But
yeah, Powell's a guy we got to get going. A senior, boasts a lot of incredible tools. He can play center field, he can pitch, left-handed hitter, he can run. really needs to be a staple or a benchmark in this lineup for, Grenadiers to have a good season. It's got to get these guys going, as early as possible, and then keep it going all year.
Yeah, as he'll watch that one low, make things 1 and 2. So House looking for a relatively quiet first inning. Another pitch, breaking ball. That one's going to be lifted high, and coming in is Henry in center, and he's going to be there in plenty of time to make the catch. So not much going for the Grenadiers in the bottom half as well. So we head to the top of the second here in New Albany, still scoreless. Spencer Crane, the aforementioned large left fielder for IU Southeast. As little dugout control, it appears, by the home plate umpire.
Maybe Spencer's been there. It says he's a senior. Maybe he's just been there for a long time. I feel like looking back at my career, it's weird. You know what I'm talking about, Hawk? You almost get like Rain Man-ish. It's like people go, remember that kid that played, that batted 5-hole for Campbellsville? And I'm like, Villanueva? And you're like, how do you remember a guy's name from 09? I don't know. It's just a guy that's been there for a while. Ohio Christian's had some great players over the years. Some really good players.
Yeah. Head coach Evan McDonald, I believe in his 3rd or 4th season now, as a half-hearted swing is going to be called that he went around. But, they've progressively gotten better in each of his years at the helm. Last year, obviously, like you said, just a game away from the conference tournament as Crane is going to go down swinging there. So another quick start to this inning for Schaefer.
Yeah, I want to give Blev a little bit of love. So Evan taking over the program, took over for a great friend of mine, Michael Blevins, who was Mr. Trailblazers, OCU player coach. Evan didn't take over a cupboard that was missing many essentials to survive, but Evan's done a good job of continuing the ascension of the program over the last couple of years.
Yeah, that one is going to be fouled into the Grenadier dugout by the catcher, Caleb Haller. But, and this is, especially when you're a coach and in the program, you feel like there's been something that is different, right? When the administration announces, we're going to switch associations even. You're not even just switching conferences, right? They're going to go full-time NCCAA next year and forego membership in the NAIA, and which of course would then include the River States Conference. So sometimes those can be tough conversations to have as a coach, right? Like I know people, and it's not like it is end of the world by any means, because there's still a lot of great opportunities for these players in whatever association it is, right?
But once again, it's kind of like when we were describing the the conference tournament this year. It's like you got to get out your whiteboard, you got to get out your protractor and kind of figure out just what it means, what it looks like, where do you go? When do you go there? Who do you play? I don't know. It's just change. It's something that I've noticed as I've gotten older, that I have a lot of respect for with, people, from different generations, just all the change that they've been through. It's definitely, it comes with, I think, some positives, but I think overall, it's just something new to learn. But I don't know. It's not really a challenge. I guess it's more of an opportunity to elevate.
Absolutely. As Caleb Haller picks up the Trailblazers' first knock, and that'll make way for the first baseman for the Trailblazers, Connor Mathis.
Big Murph dog back here. He's not afraid to throw. I've seen it of late. He's not afraid to toss the ball around. I love seeing that out of a backstop. Somebody that's, ooh, nice pitch.
That one must not have missed by much. As there is a courtesy runner at first, number 16, Matt Bradley, running for the Trailblazer catcher. And one of our many fun alterations to the NAIA rules.
If A, then B, then C.
So a 2-1 count here to Mathis. Schaefer would love to find himself a double play ball. As first we'll have a look over, but back in plenty of time was Bradley.
Yeah, Schaef's going to be tough for anybody this year. I think after watching him last week and then watched him early today, it's just, man, he's a staple at the front end of a rotation. A lot of pitchability and, just relentlessly attack the strike zone. Incorporated a good pickoff move, I thought, last year. One of his glaring weaknesses was just controlling, base runners and keeping the double play in order and being quick to the plate. And I know that's, a big deal for Neff in terms of, helping his staff manage the running game. And you can definitely tell he's added that to it. He's going to be tough to, stack some runs on Schaef, at least his watch.
Absolutely. As the 2-2 pitch, that one's going to be lifted foul out of play, so we'll have another.
One thing I will note, there's something about showing up to this field on a game day and not having to worry about when the field is ready and if it's ready and do we have everything and do we have rakes, balls, diamond dry and all the things.
That one's going to be off Schaefer's foot, but right to Slater, as I think they're still going to get an out, and they do, so that is going to go as a 1-5-3 put out.
Nice.
Nice little assist by the cleat as that gets through. I mean, with the speed of Bradley, maybe not able to still turn it, but could have been an opportunity, but they'll take the out nonetheless. As now that brings up the shortstop, Carson Runk.
Yeah, good job for Slate to stay in that. The ball obviously is up the middle. You see the ball come off the bat, and it's not at you, but you're still the focus and concentration it takes just to stay in the play, even if it's not to you. It could be to you, whether it's thrown by somebody else, whether it's hit to somebody, it hits a right field, and the guy's trying to go first or third, and the ball ends up to you being an intended target at the end of the play. But it's always fun to see.
Yeah, so first pitch fouled off by Runk. Howell Christian proving to be aggressive early in the count, says he's going to swing at that one as well and see if that one's going to stay in play, flock over, and that's going to get just over the dugout. So it'll be an 0-2 count here to Runk. Runk, the sophomore from Washington Courthouse, Ohio. Maybe one of the first 3-word town names I've ever seen.
I did talk to Tim Curry today at Union College, and he did say that they were the new president that came in is changing they're going to university affiliations. They're going to be Union Commonwealth University starting next year.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But button up the bottom, or the top of the second, rather, as Runk's going to ground out, and that will head things still scoreless to the bottom of the second here in New Albany. Ethan Burdett will lead things off for the Grenadiers in the bottom half of the second inning.
So I mentioned earlier, looking at the River State's conference standings, last week was crossover, and Midway was the only team to sweep. They stand at 3-0. Oakland City is 2-1. IU Kokomo, IU Southeast, Brussia, and IU PUC stand at 1-2. That's in the West. In the East, West Virginia Tech is tied at the top of the conference with Point Park and Shawnee State at 2-1. I'm sorry, and Rio 2-1, and then Ohio Christian and Alice Lloyd. Ohio Christian is 1-2, and Alice Lloyd is 0-3.
As Burdett's going to fist that one over the outstretched glove of the first baseman, and he's going to look to take second. Caught in no man's land a little bit, but good aggressive base running by Burdett as he draws the throw to the pitcher, actually, who was covering first, and a good job by him to be there on that play. But the good aggressive base running by Burdett will have him in with I guess the leadoff double.
I mean, are we giving him the aggressive award, or are we giving the umpire aggressive award for being 2 steps from the play, standing still, and making the right call?
We love an umpire that's in the right position. So that'll bring up the senior first baseman, Max Flock. Flock looking to he's scuffled of late, looking to get his season turned back around.
I had a good conversation with Flock before the game started. One of the first guys that I picked out walking in, just talked to him about his approach a little bit, and just, I said it last time on the broadcast. Flock is, I believe Flock and Cheek are the X factors, for the Grenadiers this year. Just having a real plan at the plate.
Another square to bunt, and trying to do a little too much with that one, but that'll even things up at 1-1. Flock still hitting 286, even through his struggles. Does have 10 RBIs on the year.
Has a great attitude, Fun fact, his brother, Alex Flock, committed here at high school and ended up going to Brushy University, and then later on transferring to Tennessee Wesleyan, which was won the 2019 national championship for Billy Berry and the Fighting Bulldogs. But Max definitely has in his blood, just like his brother, great player. Just, sometimes when you journey around, you get a bunch of different arrays of information, and it creates a little buyer confusion, I guess, on how to apply it. So I think once he gets the information lined out and has an approach that he sticks with, I think he's going to be huge for the Grenadiers.
Yeah, and he finds himself ahead in the count, 3-1, as the pitch from House is going to be ball 4, well outside. So good start for things here as the Grenadiers have 2 aboard.
So what do you miss the most about playing, besides wearing the gold-plated cleats?
Yeah, that was one game, and those were short-lived. I think for me, one of the things that, and really the thing I miss most, is just the pure competitive aspect. Like, there's a task, and it's mano-a-mano, really, from a pitching perspective, and just like, I'm going to go out and just do my job better, I think is probably the thing that I miss the most. As a good bunt there by Murphy is going to go down as a sacrifice, as Braden Fry in to make a good running play at third base.
I think what I miss the most is just and I was a catcher, for those that don't know, is just the sharing of information. The antagonist that you encounter, whether it's in an at-bat or in a frame, in a game, in a weekend, in a season, it wears many faces, and just how you identify that antagonist, and then the ability to problem solve individually or collectively to overcome that is, I don't know. It happens in life, but it just doesn't happen in a sense that is as beautiful as it is inside the lines.
I understand what you're saying. As
getting a little philosophical here.
As Braden Hazelwood steps in, and he'll watch first pitch breaking ball outside, and he's going to square the bunt and try to push that one. It's going to be well foul. But, and I think the sharing of information, I think, is one of the things that I enjoyed the most, just by the way of being able to stay connected, whether it be in administration or volunteer coaching, with it be different teams here in the community. I'd say for me, I still get a little bit of that, but like that's why being an upperclassman for me and one of the leaders on the team was so beneficial, because we had 13 freshman arms my senior year, right? And it's like I get to teach all these kids how to come in and do things right. As a good eye there from Hazelwood to pull the bunt back, so it counts 2-1.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we've talked about this several times, Hawk, about just guys like Jared Messick and, people that really taught you what it was like to be an older guy and what that meant. It was just how to boil things down and condense things into usable threads of information that you could, apply immediately. And some of them were long cooks. They were that slow, long cook. And, it was like aha at the end of your career. Like, I get it. When Booby looked like a child. I mean, those pictures of, like, Ben Brennan laying on the ground in the conference room in the bullpen, and Booby looked like he just, like.
Good hold there from Hazelwood.
Just
That'll run
graduated
things
8th grade, showed up at the game. It's like, whoa, who's this kid?
Yeah, and I think that's, as we talked about last time, just a lot of the things that and opportunities to build relationships like that make the overlapping of generations and classes just that much more connected, as that one's going to be hit real high. Infield was in, so not the easiest of plays, but back in to make the catch is the second baseman, Carter Smith. So
I thought, baseball gods 1-on-1 was going to show up. You play your infield in, especially early in the game, 0-0 score, kind of getting greedy defensively, and they just get beat by the flare, It's like, gosh.
Well, it works out in their favor that time, as runners still on second and third for the Grenadiers, so that brings up the 9-hole, Colin Long, number 22, as I mispronounced his number in opening lineup, so that's off to a great start. But he'll look to have a little bit of two-out magic here. Try to get across the first run.
Job already, going in and out to Hazy, a little bit more advanced sequencing, you would see. And just in terms of location for a young pitcher, just, putting the ball on the right sides of the plate where it was intended to be.
As that one's hit sharply to the shortstop, and throw's going to get away. So that's going to end up being a pair of runs. No RBIs, however, for Long, but the Grenadiers are going to take the runs all the same. So that'll be an error on the shortstop, Carson Runk. And Grenadiers are turning it over to the top of the lineup with runner in scoring position. Still 2 out.
This time of the year, man, it's, setting in the position that I'm in now, just out of the threads, out of the dugout, it's a tough time of the year.
I will say, on the flip side of the question you asked earlier, and kind of to the same accord, what I do not miss is showing up and seeing maybe a little bit of standing water and some sponging that needs to happen, and having zero concern about it. That is one of probably my biggest joys of coming to the ballpark now.
Or in the summer, it's like, hey, do you want to cook 100 hot dogs today in 99-degree weather? Sounds like a great idea. We don't have to do that. Yeah, we had a lot of we could burn the airwaves up with some summer stories of pulling trash bags and just the juice. I mean, just man, yeah,
so many hours at this ballpark, especially when it comes to working on the field. But
one of these days we'll be telling our kids, just like, do you understand how much hot dog juice I've had on me in a Sunday in July, son? You're lucky.
And
be thankful for these toys you have. We sold thousands of hot dogs for you to get them.
Shield does a check swing there, and thought that may have been a called strike anyway, but it's not.
The field does look great, though. I mean, obviously Mother Nature's had its way with her, but looks good. I mean, I saw Chris Reynolds make a comment on Twitter about how good the field looks, and I seconded that. I mean, Neff's done a great job. Him and the guys. I mean, not one person can do all this, but shout out to Chris Rosio and his team, and the players and coaches for the amount of sweat equity they put into the ballpark to make it look this good, and have a chance to play and on a day like today where I mean, the dry time the field's had in the last 36 hours is like during the game today. But
yeah, field looks great, and like we said last time, greener than it's ever been, I think, in this early March. And that'll bring up Mason White as he looks to try to find some of that nice green grass in a gap and try to get a couple more 2-out runs for the Grenadiers. As runners on first and second, still 2 away for the Grenadier Sluggers. He swings and misses at the first pitch from House.
Not a situation you want to be in with the Trailblazers, man. You know, you had them on the ropes, 2 outs, you make an error, and then, add insult to injury.
As that one's lifted high over is Henry. He's going to take that from Crane over in far left center, but that's going to end the inning and the threat for the Grenadiers. But they do scratch across a couple on the 2-out error, but we'll head to the top of the third. Grenadiers have their first lead of the game, 2-0. Schaefer out for his third inning of work, as leading off for the Trailblazers is 0 Braden Fry. So it'll be Fry, Henry, and Smith due up, as Trailblazers will turn over their lineup in this half. First pitch going to be inside to the Trailblazer third baseman, who made a nice play on the run in the last half inning. As that one is skied out just beyond second base, and there is going to be Ethan Burdett in plenty of time. So another quick out for Schaefer, as the Trailblazers are sticking to their script and being aggressive early in the count.
From what I remember about last year, I think that's how they nipped us last year. When Schaefer pitched against them, they came out early action and really just death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah, good job by the 9-hole Henry there to throw the first pitch he sees into left center for a base hit. So that turns things over to Carter Smith.
Some alumni news. Can we officially congratulate Ben Berenda?
I think so, yeah. So shout out to Ben Berenda. One of the reasons why our field looks so great and is so green this early. He has accepted a job with the Rocket City Trash Pandas, as that first pitch is going to be slashed but caught by the shortstop. So
better
Smith,
get us some apparel. I mean, Trash Pandas. I mean, like
the coolest mascot.
That had to be like a name developed by ownership at a bachelor party.
But he will be
let's
working.
call them the Trash Pandas.
He'll be working in the assistant. I think he's the assistant head groundskeeper or something of that form. But he gets to go work with fun Bermuda grass, which is a lot easier to maintain than the 6 different grasses you get to work with up here, since we're north transition zone for any. Yeah,
this was a science project for learning how to, if you want to learn how to grow certain grass, go down the right field line. Other grass, go down the left field line.
Or get both in one spot in the infield. As a good breaking ball there will even things up to Ridge Clark.
That's pretty cool. Ben, one of my all-time favorites. Just an amazing dude.
Spent 5 years in a Grenadier uniform.
A lot of games won in that uniform. And not only that, his first 4 years spent mostly a DH capacity, where he was one of our big pieces. But last year to come out and win the first team all conference award for catcher, and then the Gold Glove award was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, good pitch there by Schaefer. nibbling on the edge, but doesn't get the call.
Murph with the little magic hands back there.
Little
Love it.
Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off.
Mm-hmm.
So 2-2 count to Ridge Clark. 2 away here. Pitch is going to be chopped, and that's going to be foul.
Come get that slate. You're going to get a wicked cue ball bounce. Like watching pool on ESPN at 3 o'clock in the morning in Vegas, the pool championships. Those guys are like making balls go backwards. Like, guy's got his own glove. You would expect it. He pulls out his stick, puts it together, gets his glove out with like the one finger.
Oh, it's big time. As that one's fouled out of play. So good job by Clark to stay alive. Try to extend the inning for Ohio Christian.
So they're going to the NCCAA. Are they going to be affiliated with a conference, or are they going to be an independent?
That I am unclear on.
One thing, to add, they get to play the NCCAA World Series at Phil Arrington's facility, Prasco Park, which is, if anybody listening has never been there, Prasco is known for no admission. You can't pay for
concessions.
Free, yeah. You're just eating Dippin' Dots for, a doubleheader. Just 8 hours of just trying to be your best impression of being a diabetic. It's just like, give it a go, kid.
Yeah, good job by Clark to extend the inning as he gets a base knock up the middle.
Shout out to my son Beckham. That would be his dream, is to
just Dippin' Dots for hours.
Just dip his tongue into as many Dippin' Dots that'll stick to it as he can over an 8-hour period. But yeah, they have a pretty special thing going on up there at Prasco.
Yeah. Makes way for the right fielder, Benjamin Starrett, as the first pitch he sees is going to be in the dirt. So
the bat colors this year are like really standing out. We're like going like just
highlighters.
Yeah, it's like, everything's just like so bright and so trippy.
As Schaefer falls behind now 2-0, I think for the first time in this one. So good job by Ohio Christian to put a little pressure on the Grenadier senior. As they do have a runner in scoring position with 2 away. The 2-0 pitch. That one's going to miss.
Good decision.
So 3-0 to the 3-hole for Ohio Christian.
Who might say has a big league stash going on. I don't know if you've seen it. This thing is primed, manicured, combed, trimmed.
3-0 pitch will be in the dirt. So a 4-pitch walk with 2 outs, and that's going to bring out assistant coach Glendon Rush to have a quick chat with the right-hander.
Glendon Rush, love it. One of the gems for the Grenadiers is the ability to be around G-Unit himself, G-Money, Glendon Rush, Game 3 starter, World Series, Subway Series, Yankees, Mets.
It didn't end up very well for him, though. I do have to point that out. We talk about it a decent amount around the program, but I like to remember him or remind him as a Yankees fan. It came out in my favor, not his. But I think I'd take being a part of the World Series over being a fan that was 4 years old.
I just wonder what it's like to watch kids, young student athletes compete in front of, the crowds that we compete at, in college baseball. I think across the board. I don't think it's just small college. I think you could go to, a Tennessee Tech, Samford game midweek and, see most kids, girlfriend and their dogs in the stands to say that you started a game in the World Series. What is it like to play catch in front of millions, as you were dodging batteries coming in from the bullpen at Old Bronx Stadium?
So 2 great back-to-back breaking balls from Schaefer has him ahead 0-2 to Spencer Crane.
Did you ever go to Bronx Stadium?
I was not able to go to the old stadium before it got torn down, but I have been to the new one twice. So,
okay. Got to see, New Albany High School remade into, they built a stadium around it. Was like 300 in the gap.
And another great breaking ball there by Schaefer as he's going to strand the bases loaded. So a good bounce back and some wise words from G Money. So that will that'll bring us to the bottom of the third, rather. Grenadiers still lead this one 2-0. Cody Putnam will try to lead things off in a positive fashion for the Grenadiers. Bottom of the third.
I mean, Bruce Bolt, I mean, in owning a kind of a no-name kind of renegade, startup company years ago with Silverback Sports, Bruce Bolt's really, I mean, they've done a good job. I mean, you see him, not only in all parts of college baseball, you see him in the spring training games. I mean, it's like this. I mean, this brand, they've done a good job. I'd like to know more about that story, kind of how they.
Yeah, I think was it Harrison Bader was the first big leaguer to wear them, and he's boasted them. Each team he's gone to, they've kind of done him some custom colors. I remember doing a little navy and the Statue of Liberty green when he signed with the Yankees. They were pretty nice looking. But that's what happens when you put together a good product.
And you have them for BP because that's about really all I did. He was there. He was taking BP, but he didn't.
So 3-1 count here to Putnam as House back out for his third inning rather. That one's hit high into shallow center field. Coming in on his horse is Henry. Oh, and he's going to make the play as
avoided the slide tackle.
Sterrett kind of wipes out as he's trying to shut it down. But
it's me, but Henry, I mean, I know it's a slow track, but I feel like there's a lot of steps involved in all the catches. I mean, no knock on him. He gets the most out of every step. I wonder what the Apple Watch would say at the end of the game.
As he playing a little deep for the Grenadier 3-hole.
Yeah, that's always interesting when I see teams come here, I don't know if you've noticed it over the years where our field is incredibly big, but like how deep teams play. It's like, man, I mean, I've seen 10 home runs in my life leave here in center field.
As first pitch going to be swung on and lifted into left center by Powell, and Crane will make the catch. So a couple quick outs for the Grenadiers as Ethan Burdett will try to get things started here with 2 outs. So a good job by House kind of after the shaky bottom of the second, just right back into work and gets a couple quick outs.
I want to give a shout out to you guys, man, and just watching you guys kind of set this thing up, the broadcast, the people it takes to announce, and, support staff of our department. I think it's worth being noted, just the unsung heroes behind the scenes that really make all this happen, whether it's multiple camera angles or the broadcast or live stats, for, families out there like LP just hit, from out west, or, going back to like Marco Romero. I mean, watching his dad follow us from Venezuela, his family just.
Or Tyler Mills and his parents out in Colorado.
Yeah. I mean, just we've had so many people from all over the country, I think in all sports, but just I think that's something I took for granted, even just all the efforts it takes behind the scenes to, get a printed out stat sheet at the end of the game. A lot of coaches out there probably listening to this broadcast have always, had these things that, I don't know if they've ever really thought about what all it takes.
As that one smoked down the left field line by Burdett, so Grenadiers are going to get something started here with 2 outs, as that's going to be his second double of the afternoon thus far. So Birdie off to a good start to his day, as it's going to extend this inning. So Max Flock will step in with a runner in scoring position.
Yeah, Shakamak native. Shout out to Ann Reel, first grade teacher. Yep. No, he's done well. Like we talked about last broadcast, being the landmine, it's crazy. You get to him in the order and you're like, oh. Who's
he
this
doesn't
guy?
look like your stereotypical 5-hole.
Yeah, he's a good player.
First pitch to Flock is going to be a little outside, but he's going to get the call. So it might have been a little bit of a gracious one there. But
I should see Max's approach this at-bat. In the last at-bat, he was asked to give it up for the team. See what he does here. 2 out, big spot.
As that'll even things up. Yeah. So the infield playing pretty deep for Flock.
Yeah,
so
full shift.
You wouldn't think that he'd lay down a bunt, but with the style of baseball Grenadiers play, maybe catch somebody sleeping. As that one's gonna miss. So.
Yeah, playing. It's always interesting, and I think we've talked about this over the years, where like, the they got him in pretty much a shift to pull, but they're pitching him away. Really
Hoping for maybe trying to do a little too much with it. Has a hefty swing and miss there to even things up at 2-2. He had certain intentions with that swing, that's for sure.
Well, last at bat, he was looking to bunt him over. I think they walked him, the base open, but early in the inning, so at the double play.
2-2 pitch. That one's gonna be outside, run it full. So, I believe second full count for Flock and as many at bats. As House looks for a sign. And will deliver. That one flayed out, and that's going to be a tough play out there for Crane, and he's not going to get there. So that's going to be great 2-out RBI there by Flock, just battling with 2 strikes, and sometimes that's all it takes, just throwing the barrel out there, and that's going to find the grass in left field for another Grenadier 2-out RBI.
Hit it with a sword, but, hey, it works. It's tough. Like today, man, just a slow track. It's tough. Those plays, those little tweener plays are – I still think the best is yet to come for Max. I'm not taking anything away from that at bat or, any of those prior. Just I think when he has the ability to drive the ball to all fields on a line, and I think just I think as it warms up, guys like him will warm up with the weather.
Yeah, so that'll bring up the catcher Logan Murphy, who was delayed getting to the box by your favorite thing, warming up on deck with the shin guards on.
Yeah.
I know it's a pet peeve of yours, but
yes, it is.
I'd say probably relatively common, especially at this level, in terms of quote-unquote pace of play. But first pitch to him is going to be, is low, and then the second pitch in there for a strike to even things up 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pet peeve. It's not anything negative. It's just something that I would not allow. But then again, I was a catcher, and I think it's like, I think a lot of guys, you would catch him off guard. Like, what do you mean? It's like, well, what if he gets out? It's like, well, if he gets out, then we'll have
someone go catch.
We'll have our another catcher go out there, and we'll give you the treatment. We'll do like the old pit stop.
Yeah.
We'll just pull the chair out. We'll help you get your gear on and get you ready to roll. But I would rather you have an at bat where you're,
focused and able to stay locked in.
You're not worried about
anything.
is the count 2-1? Should I unclip 2 of my guards? By the end of the, you're on deck, routine. You've got shin guards held on by 1 clip because he went full count.
But good job there by Murphy. He stays in. He's going to get pegged. So he will be relieved by courtesy runner in this one, Makai Stoner, who we talked about last time. Really just has absolute elite speed. So I think the only thing with something in the gap that could stop him from scoring would just be the speed of Max Flock ahead of him.
Yeah.
But that'll bring up Brayton Hazelwood.
Let's do a little trivia. What's my next pet peeve in terms of life at the corner of the dugout would be what?
Oh, that's a good question. Life in the corner of the dugout. I mean, I'd say, not paying attention, probably one of them.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like it's all I got to live on as a coach is paying attention. But the next one is like balls that are fouled back to the backstop, and I see like on deck hitters running.
On that one's hit well into left center.
Cooked.
Henry giving it a good run, and he's going to make the play. Is a great route there by the center fielder as Hazelwood found a barrel, but not enough of one to split the outfielders. So good drive there. Will end things, however, for the Grenadiers. They do scratch one on the 2-out RBI by Flock, so we'll head to the top of the 4th, 3-0. Leading off for Ohio Christian is going to be the catcher, Caleb Holler. As a shout out to Coach's wife, Jana Neffendorf, for letting me know that I had the score wrong on the scorebook. So it's a team effort all around.
Shout out, Jana. Hold it down. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, we're trying to make sure we hold the bat, like we're not trying to hit with the handle and hold the barrel, trying to get the bat held the right way. But yeah, but going back to what I was telling you was like I loved watching teams where catchers ran a shuttle run, especially against like a long spoiler AB where they're like running back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then it's like, okay, go get the big hit, kid. It's like, when do catchers ever run a shuttle run? It's like you're in a game of pickle with like, not only that, the next piece is who gets the ball. It's like Night at the Roxbury. Me, you, him, me. Like the other team, me. It's like you always have that guy in the hole. And I would encourage, like, as silly as it sounds, like, we probably don't. I know there's a couple thousand listeners out there. I mean, this is, it's hard to get airtime space.
That one's going to be off Schaefer's leg again and right to Burdett. So a couple pitcher assists on some ground balls today.
A couple soccer shin guards on out there today. Kick saving a beaut.
As he's going to smirk at that one, as it's going to take a hit away from Holler as that was going up the middle. But first out nonetheless. So brings up the first baseman now, Connor Mathis.
Yeah, I'm going back to what I was saying. I think for like young coaches out there, like little things is just choreographing routines of just like in a game, like it's like, what's a guy doing hitting? Well, he's hitting. He's at the plate. But, like, somebody on deck or somebody in the hole.
Or when you're the home team, and I know one of the things we do here and we have in the past. And Connor Scheidt actually gets that call today. But, someone has to run baseballs, right? That person is kind of – it's like that's your role for whether it be today or you have an injured guy do it. But then they're, like, allowing even the guy on in the hole to be able to stay locked in and not have to worry about going and getting foul balls because, it's a role and a job that needs to be done.
Well, the thing is, you think about it, a lot of guys are, just in our culture and society, it's like we're taking hitting lessons to learn how to hit. It's like, dude, you get to change the game with the bat, in a high school game, probably 4 times a game, maybe 5, whatever, in a 7-inning game. College baseball, let's say 5. If you boat racing, maybe 6, whatever. It's like you're asking somebody to minimize failure, yet you're giving them obscure jobs that the moment demands right before you're about to go hit of one of your,
And that one's going to be fielded by Shield, made on the run as he's able to cut that off to make sure it didn't go foul. So a great play there by Slater to cut down another Trailblazer hit opportunity anyway.
We've had some great third basemen over the years, but Slate's done a really good job, man.
He's really kind of coming to his own over there at the hot corner.
Yeah, man, having a guy that can be, a diamond defense guy. He could play short, second, center. He could do it all. But to have him at third base and just the range and mobility that he shows and the athleticism, making the throw, coming in and getting the ball in fair territory, making the throw on the run. Not like that. It wasn't like, he just flipped it over there. He threw a strike across the diamond off 1 foot.
As Cody Putnam going to be in, make his own play on the run, and he's going to get him in time. So retired in order are the Trailblazers as Schaefer works at another scoreless inning. So we head to the bottom of the 4th. Greeners still lead this one 3-0. Grenadier left fielder will lead things off in the bottom of the fourth.
Yeah, Long, the newest invitee of Real Deer Camp 2024.
And he's going to take a swing at his first pitch, and is that going to stay fair? No, it was a good effort there from the right fielder, Starrett, trying to make a sliding play out there. Comes up just short, so it'll be a foul ball. Long run for a lot of people, so take a second.
Yeah, Long, a product of a long tenured pipeline of Vincennes University. It follows a pretty illustrious, pedigree. Guys like Trent Simpson,
Matt Bowles, Logan Coughlin.
Yeah, I mean, some greats, really. But, going back to Chris Barney. I mean, Chris Barney recruited me out of high school to USI many moons ago. But we've kept that going with Birdie and Long now. And we had some good ones. Fitz, Michael Fitzwater. Man,
one hit to the shortstop and throw in plenty of time.
This brings up an interesting thing to point out about the Grenadiers in 2024. We got a lot of team speed, man. I mean, just watching guys get down the line. One thing that I do notice when we miss hit the ball, especially on the ground, I'd like to see us more, out of the air more, in my personal opinion. But just a lot of bang plays. I mean, I know it's a slower track today, but I mean, regardless, these Grenadiers can really get down the line.
Yeah, and I think that probably plays into the style of baseball that head coach Brett Neffendorf has for them. As first pitch is going to be lofted into shallow center by Slater, and that's going to get down right in the middle of 4 different Trailblazers. So he'll find himself an unlikely hit, but a hit nonetheless.
And Slater's not a guy you want on the bases right now. I mean,
absolutely
with
not.
One out. I mean, he can get it going. Obviously, we talked about last broadcast. He set the record, right, for Prospect League?
Yep, sets the record this past season in the Prospect League for stolen bases, and he also leads the Grenadiers in the early going with 12. So 12 for 15 from a stolen base perspective for Shield. So we'll see if he's off and running.
And the underlying theme of a situation like this is having a guy who can run on in front of a guy like Mason, where if you bounce one, he's going to move up on the dirt ball, so you're more enticed to throw fastballs to a guy that will fully dress a fastball, mustard, ketchup, pickle, and onion style, and send it.
Yeah, the first pitch to Mason is going to be in there for a called strike. I think just on the outside part as they were going for a little pseudo pitch out, and they're going to check over.
They're already seeing it, they risk going 1-0 to Mason, if that pitch would have been called a strike, and now you're, worried about, the guy at first, where you got bigger problems with the guy at the plate than really anywhere.
As Mason can make this a 5-0 ball game very quickly. Shield off, running, and he's going to be in there with his 13th stolen base of the year. So that also will even the count to Mason White. So runner in scoring position now with 1 away.
Love the call by the umpire, just like, no shot. God, you know what? That's something that I was talking to Franz about earlier today, just his travels umpiring in our conference. Justin Franz, longtime member of the program, but true professional umpire in our conference. I know Luther Bramblett at Midway University mentioned that they were looking at the synergy report of one of Franz's last games. He umpired down there, only missed like 3 calls behind the plate. Incredible umpire, but
that one's going to get thrown into center field. So
slow track, no bueno.
It's the throw and just not there in time were either the middle infielders, as it looked like a timing pick and just a little out of sync between the pitcher and the middle infielder. So
something I never understood either. Like, what is the obsession with shortstops receiving the throw on pickoff attempts at second base? There's more traffic there. Not only that, it's like the runner can feel the infielder moving around behind him. I just don't understand why more coaches, and this is no knock against Evan in his program, just in general. I've seen it even in our own program, where it's like shortstops just have this, like ball hog mentality of like taking every single, it's like there's more traffic there. There's more. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't know. It's like if you call a choreographed pickoff, why not just let the second baseman take it?
Yeah, I think that is probably – it stems probably from some younger players as they're coming up through the ranks, and the shortstop being the most sure-handed. I'd imagine something.
Do you notice that though?
Yeah, I do. I would say that is probably a generality that
holds true.
Yeah, but that makes way for Cody Putnam. He's going to show a bunt, and it's going to be in there for a called strike. And Mason White is going to be thrown out, as he's going to disagree with the call at second base, but the conversation's not going to matter too much now, as the Grenadiers run themselves into a 2-out situation here with the runner on third now.
Yeah, tough. Like a bad jump. Anytime you have action where you're, quote unquote, protecting a runner, I feel like that, aids in this false sense of security that there's not going to be, especially in the first and third. It's like, are they really going to throw through that? Some teams, run a cut play, which I was never a huge fan of that as a coach. But, Mason chirps about, the call, but yet slides directly into the base. It's like no hook slide, no. And there's no fault at Mason for this. It's just I don't know what it is about, a little trickery. Sometimes it just makes it harder to just, if he ran, the straight steal on his own, or you got the sign from the dugout, he's more apt to probably, evade more versus maybe in his mind thinking, they're not going to throw it through here. That's the way it would be with me as a player.
Well, and, Evan McDonald has his Trailblazers ready, and scouting report stayed true so far as they've been ready, with a couple, like the pitch out when Slater was going, and early action for the Grenadiers has been kind of one of their themes, and they were ready for it, as that one's going to be Cody through the hole. So a great job by Cody Putnam to still come away with something here, as that's going to be another 2-out RBI for the Grenadiers. That pushes their lead 4-0.
Job, KP. I love KP, man. For listeners out there that don't know some of these Grenadiers personally, I would encourage you when you make it out to one of the games to, shake hands with these young men. They could be, in your communities in years to come, which, we talked about like Ben Berenda. It's like Grenadier Nation is real. It's like not only do I work with a bunch of, former Grenadiers and see them at work in different communities, but anyway, KP is just one of the greats. Such a great person, such a great family. Looks like Evan's going to the pen.
Yeah, we're going to not even a couple steps out, and he's already going to signal to the bullpen. So we'll have a pitching change here for Ohio Christian in the bottom of the fourth. So we will come back after with the pitching change and after the pitches are done. Luke Powell steps in to face the new left-hander now for Ohio Christian. going to be number 17, Logan Smith. Logan, this will be his 5th appearance, his first relief appearance rather, as he comes in with a 14.79 ERA and 14 innings. And his first pitch is going to be in there for a called strike to Luke Powell. Smith trying to right the ship on his season, but it's still very early for Ohio Christian, as it's going to be a breaking ball in the dirt, and able to move up to second will be Cody Putnam. So another runner in scoring position now for the Grenadiers, as Luke Powell looks to see if he can't cash in with 2 away. So 1-1 count to the Grenadier designated hitter. Smith has his sign. He's going to step off. That'll be his 1 reset. Powell, average up to 239 as he's chipping away, kind of putting some things together late. And he'll watch that one high as a breaking ball. Going to pass through the zone just a little high. Count 2-1. Good opportunity to extend the lead, as anything in the grass in the outfield is likely going to score Putnam from second. That one well outside, 3 balls and a strike. Burdett waiting on deck. He's 2 for 2 with a pair of doubles already on the day. So not exactly the easiest batter to face if they're able to extend this. Here's the 3-1. That one well outside. So that's going to do just that. Runners on first and second, and 2 outs for Ethan Burdett now. Burdett, double down each line technically, as the first one, the one he had in the second inning, kind of just in a little bit Bermuda Triangle between the right fielder, second baseman, and first baseman, and just kind of stuck there, and some aggressive base running, hustle double. And his last at bat down the left field line. Would love another one here. First pitch to him is going to be low and inside. So Logan Smith struggling to settle in and find the zone early. Coming into this one, does have a 10-13 strikeout to walk ratio, so maybe something he struggled with early, as a bunt attempt is going to be pulled back as that one's high. Smith is a freshman from Circleville, Ohio. Still just a pitch away, as there's 2 strikes, and he's coming up close to a pitch clock violation. He's going to go, and nope, not going to get it off in time. So that'll now be 3-0 to Ethan Burdett. As I saw that one, it was an extended time getting a sign with a runner on second base is usually the most difficult time in that. But he'll fire back in the zone. So, pair of Grenadiers out on the bases with 2 away. More action in the Trailblazer bullpen, as Burdett's going to slash that one into right field, and it's going to send Putnam home, and it's going to be cut off, and in there is Cody Putnam. So opportunity to keep things going for the Grenadiers, as Burdett is going to pass it back, and another 2-out RBI extends the Grenadier lead to 5. And that'll set things up for now Max Flock with 2 away. I thought maybe an opportunity, and I don't know if that got out there too slow, but a good effort by the right fielder and a good throw from Starrett, but cut off and relay not in time at home to get Putnam. So first pitch to Flock, called strike. The 0-1 from Smith. That one's going to miss outside to even things up. Good back-to-back pitches there from the Ohio Christian lefty. He has his sign and comes set to deliver. That one, breaking ball, that's going to be hit high. Long run there for Henry, but he's going to settle up under that and make the play. So the two-out threat comes to an end as the Grenadiers do scratch another pair, so they'll head to the top of the fifth. IU Southeast leads this one 5-0. Braden Fry set to lead things off for Ohio Christian. They will look to try to get things going from the offensive side as Schaefer putting together a solid outing thus far. Through 4 scoreless, 3 hits scattered across the 5 innings. So he'll deliver first pitch breaking ball in there for called strike 1. That one will miss. Schaefer, no runs, 3 strikeouts as well, just the 1 walk, as that one is going to be down in front of long and left. So a leadoff base runner for Ohio Christian as they're working through to the bottom of the order now. The center fielder Trey Henry, who's made himself quite a few nice plays out there in center. Henry also 1 for 1 on the day, so the Trailblazer center fielder having himself quite an afternoon. Would love to extend that in the positive direction. First pitch to him is going to miss out, or not miss outside, going to catch the outside corner for strike 1. So it'll be Henry, Smith, and Clark due up after. Cut on and miss, fastball there. So quickly now 0-2. Pitch from Schaefer. That one's going to miss high. Trey Henry, a senior from Lancaster, Ohio. As he awaits another offering from Schaefer. That one, a good changeup there, gets him down swinging. So first changeup really we've seen from Schaefer, and it was a beauty, as that'll turn the lineup over for the second baseman, Carter Smith. Smith steps in. And check over. We're back in plenty of time. Smith looking for his first hit of the afternoon. You know, and one thing with, I'd say, a relatively smaller total amount of strikeouts than normal for Schaefer, but just credit to Ohio Christian as they've just had a lot of early action and not even gotten to 2 strikes very often. But a good eye there from Smith. Carter Smith from Point Pleasant, West Virginia. And another move over. But back in time was Fry. The 1-0. Breaking ball in there for a called strike. As we get through this third time through the Ohio Christian order, definitely seeing Schaefer mix it up a little bit more. And the 1-1 pitch. Another breaking ball. That one's hit well, and that's going to get down for extra bases. So 1-out double for Carter Smith. As that breaking ball just hung in there, and good swing on it by the leadoff hitter for Ohio Christian. So they're in business, threatening with less than 2 outs. So runners on second and third, 1 away for the designated hitter, Ridge Clark. Clark coming into today batting .476. Does have 5 RBIs. Boasting a .520 on base percentage. Would love to improve either of those numbers. First pitch to him will be a ball. Schaefer has his sign from the wristband and will deliver. Breaking ball in the dirt. Throw down, not in time. Murphy keeping Fry honest over there at third. Mentioned it before. Murphy is aggressive when it comes to, throwing behind runners, or trying to back pick or just pick off in general. 2-0 pitch in there for a strike, just on the outside corner. So a good fastball from Schaefer. Wind starting to pick up a little bit out there. As that one's going to get down, it appears. And so that's going to be the first run of the ball game for Ohio Christian. So good job by the designated hitter, as that's going to cut into this Grenadier lead, as Ohio Christian now only trails by 4 with some stuff still working.
Shape getting tested. We talked about this last broadcast where, it was usually prototypically, I guess most stars' Achilles heels the first inning, but just kind of coming to that point to where, you got to push through, and there you go.
That one's going to be chopped up the middle. Opportunity to turn 2. They get the first and the second. So Ohio Christian's going to scratch one across, but a good job by Schaefer to battle back, and good turn by the infielders. So that one will go 4-6 to 3 as the threat is extinguished, and we head to the bottom of the 5th. Score now 5-1 IU Southeast. Grenadier backstop will lead things off as Logan Murphy steps in to face Logan Smith out now for his second inning. Is able to come in and limit the damage in the last half, but he's going to fall behind Murphy here 1-0.
So real quick, let's take a little survey here. How do you think the umpires have been this year from sitting up here in the crow's nest? I mean, no knocking anybody. It's just.
I think one of the things that I've noticed that's different this year is it feels. I don't know if it's just the vibe from the umpires and just the presentation, but they just feel a little more buttoned up and like a professional organization. I think that, and that's no knock to umpires or crews or anyone, because we've had some good. There's always good and bad umpires through every league, every division.
Like let's give some backstory, like warranted. There's been a lot of change, and we say that, and then we call a pitch against our catcher that is, at the Adams apple. But there's been some changes, so there's been some
I believe I guess 3 different umpire signers for their conference in 3 straight
moving
years.
Goalposts, over the last couple years, but
I think Brad Wilson's done a good job as the assigner for the conference this year. He's not just going to sit back and just facilitate if he needs to get in and
umpire with the guys. That's something I was going to mention last week that I thought was really cool that we didn't really touch on, was seeing your assigner out there actually working series with other umpires, whether it be for like it's a new guy that you've brought on or
just the importance, and because we had this conversation last year as Braden Hazelwood steps in for his third at bat of the afternoon. But something that, understanding the conference and the weight of the certain matchups, right? I think
there's nothing worse than the umpire that shows up thinking that you came here to watch him umpire.
Yeah.
There
seems to be a handful of those.
I mean, you see that even in the big leagues, and you hear some of the funny reels and stories, but there's always the guy there that shows up that's popping his gum and walking on his tippy toes like, oh, we all came today. But not, I think more of a broad brush statement is these games matter, not only to each player but like to these organizations. I mean, last weekend the Grenadiers came on the short side of the series. But, looking forward to the end, there's 2 bids in our tournament. I know they come out. Oh, there's 2 bids in our conference this year, but they
both come out of the tournament for the first time.
Both come out of the tournament, which I think is really cool. But what I'm saying is, you can trip early in the year, and it can have huge implications at the end.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things you always say just from a baseball perspective, right? Like, everyone always says if you get down early, oh, we got time, and then you look and you lost 2-0 because you gave up 2 in the first, right? It can happen at any point. It's a good bounce back breaking ball from Smith will even things up to Hazelwood.
I think that's something that makes me feel good, though, is just, in today's age, I think we, more so just humanity as a whole with the invention of AI. And
that one hit on the screws, and that's going to be off the glove of the second baseman. And heads up base running by Mackay Stoners. He's courtesy running rather for the catcher. So a hard hit ball up the middle by Hazelwood, and we're going to have runners on the corners with nobody out for
Hazy's on it.
Colin Long. Yeah, that's at least in 3 at-bats, 2 barrels. So things trending in the right direction for the Grenadier senior as he's looking to right the ship of his senior campaign.
Another kid you would pull the first arranged marriage in Southern Indiana and promise him to your unborn daughter. Great dude. For guys that don't know, he's moving on after his career here to he's
going in, I believe, the Army?
Marines.
Marines,
yeah.
Yes. So
can't miss that. It's the Marines. Semper Fi, baby. Well, I get to serve, one of the Grenadier greats, Jeff Klump, and, his initiative out of Evansville, and he did the same. Played and then went and served his country in Afghanistan for the United States Marine Corps. Tough dudes.
Absolutely.
Thank you to all the servicemen and women out there that embodied service before self and did something to ensure that our freedoms are protected.
And a good move there by Smith as that's going to get Hazelwood. Nope, not going to be in time, and that's going to be a double seal, and he's going to be safe at home.
Great angle.
So a great play as Hazelwood off on first movement from the lefty, but he comes over, draws the throw to the middle of the field. So with the elite speed of Stoner from third, not really much of a play. So
once again, touching on the Grenadiers' speed, it's something I think
everywhere.
It never slumps either. You could.
Unless you're Rich Rodriguez pulling a hammy early.
Roll out Rich. Shout out to Roll Out Rich. He rolled out literally hundreds of innings in his career.
That was the only time I think speed took a little bit of a break. But
and then we moved Nolan Rogers from center field to won a World Series for Vandy.
So the right side of the infield in. So long run there for the second baseman, but going to make the play in foul territory. So good job there to secure that one was Carter Smith.
A fun fact, the most made play in 2023 in college baseball was an F8. The second most common play was a 6-3. The third most common play was an F4.
That one in the fouled
fashion.
The
land of the flare.
That turns the lineup over, however, for the Grenadiers. So,
courtesy 643 Charts. They're not a sponsor, but shout out to collecting that information.
It's the new age of all the analytical partners, especially even at small college baseball.
What I was going back to saying is, like, in an age where, like, AI has, you see it in, like, like journalism and writing, like, where AI is, like, now replacing jobs in certain forms or fashion, to see guys go out there and, people always talk about robot umpires and all this stuff. I mean, I don't know what year we're in of, the pitch clock, and yet we still don't see pitch clocks at a lot of fields. Like, the pitch clock's in, it's got to be implemented. You got to have it in visible, range by, a 4-year period. Psych, that's not going to happen. But anyway, it's good to see, like, the human capital on display for umpires. I mean, and they get paid handsomely. I mean, most of these umpires that you see, that you encounter, I'd like, encourage listeners to think about this. Most umpires out there umpiring, I mean, they're getting paid more than pretty much every small college personnel on site that day, whether it's coaches or administrators or
that one just fouled down the third base line is a hanging breaking ball, but just out in front with Shield. So count 1 and 2.
I know there was just like this pitch of, like, I mean, you see on social media, like, small, like, little league umpires walking off the field, like they don't have to put up with it, which I would say that if you've never umpired, you'll see the kid up there that shakes his head. Yep, like, that's a strike, that's a ball. I just would love to take that kid the next day, put some plate shoes on him.
That one going to be through the 6 hole, so a good job by Shield. And
old bait and switch.
Going to send Hazelwood, as he kind of didn't think he was going to get sent, but he's going to be there in plenty of time regardless. As Grenadiers lead now back past 5 into 6 as they lead 7-1. Good job there by Slater Shield to battle with 2 strikes.
Yeah, I think it's important to, thank, even though these guys are paid, but like today, you walk out of this field today, I can promise you, if I cross paths with these 2 guys, I'll shake their hands and say, hey, way to shine your shoes, way to be on time. Nothing worse than, hey, 30 between games, and then 44 minutes later, somebody come out wiping peanut butter and jelly off their face, to umpire and, like,
And that's a breaking ball. It's going to be hit through the 4 hole this time, and off the bat, first to third was Shield as he was heading there the entire way. So just more chaos created on the base paths and opportunities for it as they have runners on the corners now with 1 out. And we're going to see a meeting at the mound. We'll see if there's a pitching change, and it appears so. So we will be right back after the pitching change.
Time out. Let's stay down here and talk about this
All
a
right.
little bit, just while we're waiting. A good chance to
opportunity to talk a little more.
Dive into this. What I was saying was when you see people, at a local little league, which is a lot of those guys are probably local. I mean, connoisseurs of the game itself. Like if you go to a local little league and see people umpiring, you notice, hey, this guy looks, like. Sometimes they have, like, the pillow. like
they don't even have the gear. Like they just got it the guard in front of them.
Or they have their hand in the catcher's back, and they're using the catcher as, a means to block the ball. But anyway, I think it's worth being said, like, just thank people that, You think about it, man. If there was an umpire shortage, which I know there isn't, speculate there is an official shortage, and I'm not saying there isn't in certain areas, but people that do a good job, thank them for, umpiring is a tough job, as you would know, Hawk.
Absolutely, and I don't know if you remember a couple years ago, I believe there was a little league in New Jersey that instituted if a fan was removed or kicked out of the game, to come back to watching even their own child's game, they had to serve a role as umpiring a couple games in the league. And I think that just puts it into perspective that, like, it's really easy to have an opinion from outside the fence. And, I mean, that's a lot of ways in a lot of jobs. Like, even here, it's a lot easier for you and I to talk about, like, I bet we can have a really good conversation on there, until the first time you do it. And it's like, all right, people are listening to what we're saying, right?
What's
it's
a
different.
scorpion? My wife's like, you and Hawk were awesome, except for you're talking about things we don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, okay, from a former baseball wife, what do you mean? Well, what's a scorpion? Well, that's like, a guy sliding, trying to touch his feet to the back of his head. A little zinger being thrown out there by the feather-footed Trevor Goodwin.
Yeah, but I think it's just one of those points to make that it's a difficult job, and it's really easy to not realize how difficult it is until you have to do it. And I mean, like we were talking about earlier about the amount of games and days we spent out here in the summers, I've umpired probably no less than 200 games out here, and it's different. I think it gives you a good perspective as well. Like any young player that's moving into college or whatever, if you have an opportunity to get some time in the summer, some extra cash by umpiring, it gives you a great perspective.
And you're going to earn it.
And you're going to earn it, especially if you're at a turf facility and you got black shoes on and you're melting your feet in a 95-degree day even in Indiana.
Yep.
But I think it's just one of those opportunities, and people don't look at it like, I'd never want to do that, and it's so easy until you do it, and then you realize, wow, these guys, they're trying. Like it's very easy to miss things because it's a fast game, and you have to worry about so many different things.
Yeah, the other piece too is just, you look at like coaching, and this year's my first year not coaching or not being on a baseball field, 24/7, 365.
And Cody Putnam is going to step in here with runners on the corners.
And you realize just, how much your family missed, when parents are sitting around and maybe your team's not having the best year, but, that guy that shows up every day and puts his team and its personnel in front of his own family, or just like we look at like a first responders, Bryce Carden, on national, shout out to Bryce Carden, should have been a Grenadier, ended up being a Pikeville Bear. But me and Josh Beams, one of our alumni, were talking about it.
That one's going to be hit into the gap, and it's going to get down for more runs for the Grenadiers. Cody Putnam's going to have himself a opposite field double, and he's going to advance as it looks like that ball was muffed by the shortstop out making the cut. So a double and an advancement on an error. But regardless, that's going to be 2 more runs for the Grenadiers as their lead now. They lead this one now, rather, 9-1.
You look at like, people, pointing fingers, politically and being like, well, we don't need to fund our law enforcement. They should have tanks and, firemen shouldn't have all this stuff. It's like, but we just watched in the Greater Louisville area, one of our young, former high school baseball players, Bryce Carden, who's a fireman now, former college player for,
rappel from hanging nothing.
Like Spider-Man it and, pull, somebody out of peril and, it's just, I don't know. It's easy to, point fingers until, you get up every day and your wife or significant other kisses you and says, pretty much I hope to see you tonight, where, you could be, reverse bunging off of, or, you could be getting, chirped all the way to the car. And we've seen all kinds of crazy things over the years in amateur sports of, the threat of physical violence over, a bad call.
That one hit off the hands by Powell. Is it going to be deep enough to score Putnam from third? It is. So sacrifice fly for Luke Powell.
It's like the same premise as when your kid's out there pitching, right? And it's like, hey, son, throw strikes. It's like,
thank you.
I just want the kid to look over at his dad and go, you're right. I was trying to throw a bunch of balls, Dad.
That's as a former pitcher, my absolute biggest pet peeve I've ever had is just, hey, throw strikes. Like, you know what? That's a great idea. I'll try that one next time. As I was trying to walk the bases loaded with gold-plated cleats against Georgetown. Yeah, we can bring it up. It's all right.
That was one of me Stanley's favorite stories. It's like, I'll never forget seeing you in those fresh white gold-plated cleats, thinking, man, this is special. And then, 16 balls later, it was like, wow, the bases are loaded. There's nobody out. And, those cleats. Anyway, Hawk put those on the auction block
before the game was over.
I mean, who got them?
Jack Drew.
Oh man.
And I ended up making a little backwards trade, probably.
Daddy Drew coming up. Baby's coming soon.
As that makes way for Ethan Burdett, already 3 for 3 on the afternoon. Looking for another extension here, and he's going to do it. Absolute hit machine today, as that one's going to find its way into left field for his 4th hit, and he's 4 for 4.
Watched the Tommy Mansky video last night. 1, 2, 3 drill. That's probably too old for you. You remember Tommy Mansky late night videos?
I don't. That one's over my head.
Back to back national champions, where they ended the video of. Well, Tommy Mansky was ahead of the curve. I mean, he knew everybody would want lessons to the point of financial ruin in the near future.
That brings up Max Flock, 1 for 2 in his afternoon. That's a breaking ball inside.
But that's a nice player, man. I know we've given him a lot of love, but I love just that show up, shut up, put up mentality. And
I don't know if I've heard him say 5 words, and I'm the one that gave him his official visit here in the summer as we were going through the transition from you to Neff. Burdett the entire time was just like, yep.
If you
very
remember,
quiet, respectful.
He came
young
on his
man.
visit. I think I was actually there at one part of his visit. Maybe it was before I left, and then it was like, we were kind of following up with the recruiting class, like, have anybody heard from Burdett? And it was like, no, we haven't heard from him. True to form, he's in the flesh, and we don't hear from him. His bat does the talking for him. It's like, if you want to talk to Burdett,
and he's off. Good throw by Haller, and that's going to get up the middle. So stolen base by Burdett, and that's going to be an unfortunate error on the catcher for Ohio Christian. That's going to allow him to move up to third, as that one was a called strike, however, to Flock. So 2 outs, runner on third, another opportunity for a 2-out RBI for Max Flock.
I do think talking about the team, I think the team is, last year was, we had mentioned earlier, I mean, the Grenadiers over the last, since, California was a red state, you can't remember that, but they've always been slow starting, but we got some good players, man, that I think just got to figure out kind of how they, work together and fit together. And you look at KP and Mason, the lineup, how they're, they've spent numerous parts of their lives playing together, and I think it does show up in their chemistry. But I think once these guys kind of figure out the style that Coach Neff wants them to play, and kind of be able to anticipate. It's like, if you're a hitter and you get a 2-0 count, you pretty much can corner it down. This pitcher's got to throw a strike. And whether you can say it's going to be a fastball, a changeup, or a breaking ball, okay, I don't know so much, but it's most likely going to be in the strike zone. You kind of corner them down there. But once they figure that out, I think there's a lot of these type of games on the horizon for the Grenadiers.
Absolutely, as the catcher Logan Murphy steps in with runners on the corners and 2 away.
Our doubleheader day may be shortened after.
As that one, a gracious call by the home plate umpire, but a strike called nonetheless to the catcher. Murphy looking to try to extend this Grenadier lead to double digits as they 0-1 to him. That one's going to be hit high. There is the second baseman, Smith, and he's going to make the play. So Grenadiers do strike for 5 as they answer, and we head to the top of the 6th. Grenadiers lead this one by 9, 10-1. Got a couple changes coming your way. First for the Grenadiers, there's going to be a new pitcher. He'll be senior right-hander Cade Reynolds, Greensburg, Indiana native. And he will step in to face his namesake, number 4, Matthew Keener, a freshman from Lancaster, Ohio. So, first pitch from Reynolds going to be fouled out of play for strike 1. And it looks like there's a potential pinch hitter on deck as well. So, may start to see some changes from both ball clubs as that one's going to be chopped to short, putting them in on the run, and good throw over to Flock at first for the first out. As it's getting a little cloudy here, so try to see if we can't fix the home plate camera as far as the brightness goes. But there will be a pinch hitter for Ohio Christian again, number 20, Tyler Keller, sophomore from Morrow, Ohio. Good first pitch fastball right by Morrow, or right by Keller, rather, from Morrow, Ohio. Another strong fastball by Reynolds, so it's quickly 0-2. And that pitch going to miss low, so count 1-2. And the 1-2 pitch in there, called strike 3. So a good pitch there by Reynolds as he's got 2 outs here quickly in the top of the 6th. And it looks like we're going to have another pinch hitter. Do not have a 13 on the program. I believe it's going to be number 26 on the program, Trey Blakeman. If not, do apologize, as he is listed as a pitcher. But that is unfortunately information we have. First pitch going to be swung on and grounded to Burdett at second, and a very efficient inning there for Cade Reynolds. So we'll head to the bottom of the 5th, or bottom of the 6th rather. Grenadiers still lead 10-1. So a slew of changes. Do want to make a correction as we did not have the correct information as the last pinch hitter for Ohio Christian. It'll be Ross Donaldson, and he'll also take over the first base duties. Tyler Keller does take over catching as well. And new arm for Ohio Christian is number 26, Trey Blakeman. So we had thought he may have been the person that was pinch hitting in just a number correction. So does not make a pinch hit appearance, but does take over on the mound for the Trailblazers. He is set to face Braden Hazelwood here in the bottom of the 6th. So first pitch from him is going to miss outside. Say doubleheader today, 9 and a 7. And hopefully trying to play that third game of the series, the last 9, as that one's fouled off of Hazelwood. Tomorrow morning, it's slated for noon. The forecast does not look very pretty, so don't know how likely that game is to happen, but weather good enough, at least as of now, to try to get a pair in today. 1-1 pitch bounced in front of the plate, 2-1. Really funky arm slot there for Blakeman, so probably not the most comfortable at bat for a right-handed hitter in Hazelwood. But Blakeman's set, and will deliver that one high. So 3 balls, 1 strike to Braden Hazelwood, as another arm getting loose down the Grenadier bullpen. Be senior from Louisville, Kentucky, Connor Freeze. Gracious call there from the home plate umpire, as that one is going to be in there for a called strike. Hazelwood thought that was high. I don't have the best angle on it, but I probably would have agreed. So full count, and the pitch from Blakeman. That one smoked up the middle. That's going to be a leadoff base knock. So Braden Hazelwood continues his good day at the plate, as the Grenadiers have the leadoff runner on in the bottom of the 6th. Colin Long steps in, looking for his first hit of the afternoon. Long enters the day as a .327 hitter. And like we'd mentioned earlier, has a lot of speed, but that one's hit right to the shortstop. And 6-4 to 3, they're going to say they got him. So a good turn there by the new shortstop, number 28, Andrew Keener. As a good turn as flips to Hayden Haynes at second, and then over to the aforementioned Ross Donaldson. So 2 outs now, nobody on for the top of the Grenadier order. Blakeman, a good breaking ball, but that's going to miss outside and off the glove of the catcher, Keller. Right as one of the things that's always fun about announcing, right as away teams start making subs, you just get used to their starters' names. So that one, a good play made on the run there by Keener. So in order, by the way of a double play and then a ground out, go the Grenadiers. So we head to the top of the 7th. Score remains 10-1 IU Southeast. Leading things off for Ohio Christian, number 28, Andrew Keener, the new shortstop, as he made a couple of nice plays in the last half inning. And he will face new Grenadier pitcher Connor Freeze. First pitch from Freeze is going to be outside. Freeze, a little bit of a sluggish start to his senior campaign, would love to get things going in the right direction. As that one's fouled back. Comes into this one in his 7th appearance. 7.71 ERA across only 4 2/3 innings. 5 walks, 2 strikeouts, which has really been his Achilles heel thus far, as that one's off the glove of Murphy and rolls to the backstop for ball 2. Two and 1 pitch from Freeze. That one going to be chopped to Shield at third, just foul. So good job by Freeze to bounce back and even things up at 2 and 2. Keener steps back in. As if the Trailblazers are going to try to get back into this one, they're going to have to start chipping away. And a good job by Keener to do just that. That's going to be a leadoff single for Ohio Christian. That'll bring up the third baseman, Braden Fry. Braden does have one of the 7 Ohio Christian hits. As that pitch is going to miss inside. Action in both bullpens. Freeze comes set and delivers. That one inside as well. Two-0 count to Fry. That one's going to be fouled off of him at home plate. Keep an eye on Keener over at first. A little bit of happy feet. Could be looking to be off early. So that will now be a 2-1 count to Fry. And the pitch from Freeze is going to be back up the middle. So back-to-back base hits up the middle for Ohio Christian as they're in business here in the top of the 7th.
Yeah, Freeze is a guy, man, that I cannot wait to see get going. I know I just saw him kind of, the old Incredible Hulk, like, rah. But he's had a little bit of a bumpy start, but I love this kid. I say it a lot, but, his career here has been incredible. He's got, like, real deal stuff. Like he's the first guy that I've seen at our level that can throw a brick that sinks, not because of gravity.
Hammer of a breaking ball there is going to be first pitch called strike to number 21, Stephen Larkins.
Yeah, Freeze.
Say a slew of changes for Ohio Christian as they're mixing things up, and it's working out so far for Evan McDonald and his ball club. As that one, a good cut on a miss, but fouled straight back off the screen.
Yeah, Larkin looks like a player.
Junior from Elyria, Ohio. I feel like I got that one right.
Sounds like it. I mean,
so quickly 0-2. Freeze looking for first out. Good breaking ball, but a better hold there from Larkins.
Yeah, great stop by Murph. Freeze got that kind of stuff that make you like go to a knee and the ball's like by ya. It's quick, darting, explosive action on his pitches, which can obviously, is his blessing as a pitcher, but can, be deemed as a curse at times.
Yeah, and a good pitch there to get Larkins down looking for the first out. So good job by Freeze.
I want to say Larkin was a guy that started for him last year.
That makes way, though, for number 9, Hayden Haynes. Took over at second base, the senior from Wilmington, Ohio.
Larkin's had a tough start, 15 punch-outs in his first 23 at-bats.
And a hammer of a breaking ball there, but that's going to get away from Murphy, so double play no longer in order in the grounded into fashion. But Freese does get ahead 0-1.
Yeah, Free's got that stuff, especially with this league. You just hope that he's just, not
being too fine, pitching with the lead.
Well, I say this because pitchers are predominantly the biggest stat monkeys there ever was. I think. I know. Being a catcher, I feel like I have.
Bugs Bunny breaking ball there, and a quick snap throw down to third by Murphy, but back in time over there's Keener.
Love that by Murph. But anyway, he hasn't had maybe the start that he's wanted. But, if you remember back to 2021, for a lot of our listeners that weren't there on that special magical ride on Puff the Magic Dragon, Freeze's freshman year didn't pitch a ton. And then I remember him coming by the office early in April, and then he proceeded to, throw 16 innings past the first week of April all the way into the World Series. I mean, the first pin move or second pin move we made in Lewiston was, Freeze as a freshman.
0-2 pitch from him here. Another good breaking ball. That one's going to miss.
He's one of the guys I call the OGs. No disrespect to any guys that came before him because he wouldn't be able to get there without him, or any guys that came after him. But one of the staples on the menu for the 2021 Lewiston team.
1-2 pitch, high. Another throw down by Murphy. And still back in plenty of time is Keener. So
Murph's got that quick release, man. It's really deceptive. I don't think he's not going to wow you with a ton of arm strength where you're like, whoa. But then again, he just, it's like anything else. It's like he just gets rid of the ball quick.
That one's going to be chopped. Coming in to make a play and a tough throw. So a good job there by Putnam to make the play and get the second out of the inning. Run is going to come across the score, so Howard Christian's going to chip at least one into this one, and we'll have another pinch hitter, number 99, Tate DeBoard.
Yeah, I think Freeze down the stretch, man. I think he'll be a guy that Neff looks back on, and I know Neff loves his stuff, but it's just like, man, this is different, he got stuff to really turn, anybody in any of the lineups at our levels easily is just to make a U-turn at the dish and go back to the dugout, and it's really special when you talk about shortening the games. We talked about earlier where you're like, we got time. It's like, when you get this bullpen right, a 9-inning game is going to be a 7-inning game. When you get Freeze and
as that one's hit on the screws by DeBoard, but there to make the play is White. So good job by Freeze to pitch around the first two base runners, only allowing one run. So we'll head to the bottom of the 7th. Grenadiers still lead. Score now 10-2. Mason White will step in to face Trey Blakeman in his second inning of work.
I'm ready to see Mace just go big fly. I mean, I just want to hear it through the plexiglass of just kaboom. I'm ready.
Yeah, he would love to find one, as he's gone in. It's funny to say a slump, even though he's still already has 7 bombs on the year. But
it's
been about a little over a week now since he's had one. Last one came about a week and a half ago, 2 Tuesdays ago against Indiana Wesleyan.
Well, you know how it is. I mean, Hawk, it's like you playing teams early, whether it's in conference or not, where it's you're sitting at home on I guess in this case, a Wednesday night, and you're going through who you're going to play tomorrow. Even though you got a scouting report, you're going to do it yourself. You're going to you're going to go through the list and see who you got. And you're just kind of oh, this guy's got 7 bombs. We go across Mason White. Okay, what's his number? Most guys don't know if he's left-handed or right-handed.
And then you see him in person.
Yeah, it makes it tough, just especially because his name's probably circled on every single dugout chart of this guy can't beat you. It's especially when you're swinging the bat well. It's what I loved about coaching Latin players. It's they just love to swing. It's they're good at hitting. It's the kid that's not good at hitting, and you have to go tell him, hey, stop swinging. You're not good at swinging. You're not good at hitting.
2-2 pitch from Blakeman. Cut on and miss. So he does a good job of getting Mason White out there. So leadoff retired for the Grenadiers, and that brings up Cody Putnam.
But I think something Neff's seen, and we've actually made mention of it, it's something you love about Mason is he's an everyday player. He just really, he goes on a tear and he comes back to the dugout and he's just kind of no big deal. And then he's going through a slump and he comes back and it's no big deal. He's not the guy that's, comes back and throws their stuff and you're yeah, dude, we're mad you didn't, we're also mad you didn't get a hit. Those guys always kind of trip me out.
First pitch, Cody Putnam is going to be a called strike. I don't know. It's one of the things that's tough, especially when we're talking about umpires earlier. Games that get a little lopsided as this one. I mean, it's only an 8-run game, but
biggest pet peeve probably is when umpires start
open the zone.
Start thinking hey, this game's over. We're going to go ahead and go back and eat the the bologna sandwich in the parking lot. It's no, man, you're paid.
That one's hit high, very high into right field, but over there to make the play is Matt Bradley. So 2 quick outs for the Grenadiers.
That's always irked me a little bit where, you may unload the bench, get some new faces in there, kind of get the juices flowing, and you got,
them facing the opponents
Tommy
and the umpires.
Tough nuts behind the plates, and it's bounce passes count all of a sudden. That really, really bothered me. But this guy seems to be doing a pretty good job.
Luke Powell will step in to face Blakeman. First pitch to him, that one's going to miss a little bit low and outside.
I'll tell you what, what's the deal with, without sharing confidential information of somebody's bill of health, what's the story on Hazel Martinez?
Last I heard, he's going to be out for an extended period of time. Not quite sure. I think it's a lower body injury, but
yeah.
Big blow for the Grenadiers early.
Yeah, I think, it's crazy. A guy like that, you talk about, I know Max is over at first. We talk about Hazel Martinez where, you make him right-handed, he could probably play shortstop for the Grenadiers. It's tough.
And
losing that type of guy on the right side.
Well, we ground out there from Powell, so that'll be in order. Go the Grenadiers. So we head to the top of the 8th. Score remains 10-2. Zach Reisner will be in to pitch for the Grenadiers, and he'll face number 16, Matt Bradley.
Razor's Edge Reisner.
I feel like we're on
And that one's going to be bunted
dodgeball.
off of him as Bradley as he's looking to use his speed.
Nothing like trying to bunt down 8. You know, I get it. I mean, try to make something happen, but
carrying tool being speed, trying to.
We need a lot of Brad Walkers to make something happen to get this thing going. No.
It's my favorite Brad Walker story of all time.
And Walk's the guy, man, like, and I think the former coaches out there listening in, I know this is like you had to get a subscription to listen to this broadcast, but no. There's always that guy that you look back and you wish you could have served better, and Walk's probably one of them. Just never forget, got his tooth busted out of his head to, quote unquote, make something happen, but literally like just really wanted to win. Coming from Center Grove, competing at a high level in high school, just kind of had it embedded in him. Just really wanted to make something happen. When he got his opportunity, it was like, ooh, nice pitch.
Reisner doesn't get the call there on front door breaking ball.
Let's see if Reisner can not miss arm side. And these guys have been beating people for 100 years, man. These, the funky lefty or the funky right-handers.
Good
job.
pitch there for strike 3. He'll get Bradley down swinging, and a good start from Reisner.
Zach's somebody you gotta love, though, man. One of my favorite. Just a baseball connoisseur. Remember when he first met Glennon Rush, and he brought out his Beckett and Glennon's first mullet, and been like, "Can you sign this for me?" Everybody's like, "Who is that?"
Raz is the definition of a pitcher's pitcher. That's for sure.
I feel like
first pitch
he
frisbee
should
is
have been
going to be
left-handed.
down off the glove of Murphy.
And for guys that don't know, Zach's knees are that of a 10-year NFL veteran. So if somebody does lay down a bunt, we're going to see a feat of humanity.
The 1-0 from Reisner is going to be lofted foul.
And when he goes back and watches the broadcast, he'll appreciate, ooh, umpire blowing him up a little bit. We got a left-hander behind the plate. So we know he wasn't a hitter probably. He probably was a pitcher. That's why his strike zone's so good. Now it's all making sense.
But Raz always a great sport. And long list, and it sounds like a broken record, but just continuous good guy after good guy on this team. And that one's going to be lofted out to center. White there in plenty of time.
Yeah, I think going back to the story time we had last week is just so many great people. That's what I wish people could, as I'm surrounded by, the devout Grenadiers, so many great kids that make these operations worth it. I mean, man, a lot of hours, a lot of travel, a lot of time away from your family. But when you meet a guy like Zach and you realize that this is everything to him, I think it puts it in perspective on, really what's at stake to serve this industry.
As Tyler Keller will step in and fouls off his first pitch. So Reisner will deliver the 0-1, and that one's hit a mile in the air. See if it stays in play. It doesn't look like it will. So quickly now 0-2 to Keller.
Hey, cool story. So back in the day, they used to run this train through here. And Amanda, you would know, you remember this story. One of my first practices here at IU Southeast as a coach, there was a line of traffic setting to wait to cross a railroad track, and somebody had a foul ball in practice. And the first car waiting behind the railroad tracks was a brand new Corvette.
That one hit off the cap, but down the line hard, but not enough. So a good throw there by Putnam will retire the Trailblazers in order, as I can attest to hitting any kind of car because my very first practice at IU Southeast, we were trying out, and we used to do our inter-squads for tryouts, and first day on campus, windshield gets busted out over in the parking lot.
Yeah.
I can relate to that story for sure.
My old truck, if you remember the old Chevy, when I sold it, the guy's like, well, first off, he looked at the truck and was like, looks good. I'm like, just hoping he didn't step on the side step and look at the roof of the truck, and it looked like it had been shot by buckshot. It was like BBs everywhere. Remember, I used to park my truck behind here in the summers, and everybody would be like, man, you park your truck there? It's like, or it's crazy here. We have this handicap parking spot right behind. It's like, I never understood that. It's like, great. They can, person that's limited, can park there and be close to the games. But then it's like, but we're going to wrek your car in the process. I mean, you may want a rider on your insurance policy to, to park there. But yeah. Anyway, the first practice that we had, a ball hit this court. And then, anyway, so all of a sudden I heard and come in, and all the guys were like, hey, real, he's pulling in. So went back there, and he's like, hey, I want to know who to talk to. Who's going to fix my windshield? And it's like it spider webbed it. It didn't shatter it out. Obviously, it's a windshield. But I remember sending him up to campus to the athletics building, and IU legal deemed that he decided to drive down this road at his own risk, and therefore incurred all the risk with driving down this road. One, errant, slow bat speeds that were just hitting nothing but just pummeling traffic with foul balls. But anyway, yeah, I know it's for the listeners out there that want a boring story on IUS's history, you just got it. Whoa.
As that one will be thrown down, almost got a piece of the pitcher there. That was a close call there from Keller, but step in the offensive machine today, Ethan Burdett.
Don't do
Birdie,
it, Birdie.
4 for 4.
Don't do it, Birdie. Don't do it. It's like we got to sprinkle on me. There's no way he's going 5 for 5, right?
Right? Yeah, no.
It's not happening.
But, I mean, no.
No.
So Burnett will step in to face Blakeman, who's in his third inning of work. Blakeman's done a good job coming in a couple scoreless frames. And first pitch of Burdett's going to find its way to the backstop for ball 1.
Those pitches are hard to hit. The ones that go
effectively wild, in the shades of former two-way Grenadier star Jordan Thompson.
Whoa.
And that one breaking ball in there for called strike.
Now, these guys are kind of interesting, these type of pitchers, the one that hide the ball well, step across their body, kind of throw. They're just deceptive with some angle and action.
1-1 pitch to Burdett. That one's going to be a called strike. The outside half, but gets the call. So see if Burdett can battle with 2 strikes here.
I'm guessing there's a bounce pass waiting to happen here. Got a decision to make. Is there, do you want to swing at it and run it out, or?
That one grounded down left field line.
Come on, Nat, make a
Foul.
play. When you just dive now, just laid out, just
wouldn't put it past him.
And Nat's looking good over here, man. He's just tapped into the fountain of youth.
That one, he's got a chance to get down.
Oh!
And it does get down, as that's a good effort there from the left fielder, but off his glove as he's sliding to try to make the play.
Off his glove or off his forearm?
Matthew Keener out there. Good effort, but that's going to be 5th hit of the ball game for Ethan Burdett. So we tried to jinx him there, but has nothing to do.
For listeners, they get it. When you say, hey, this guy's had a nice game, it's like, okay, just gave him the kiss. It's like when the guys say, stay hot, kid. I'm like, oh, that's the kiss of death. Okay, the hotness is over. Can't acknowledge somebody's doing well. You just got to be like, it's not so bad. This guy's, he's okay. He's all right. It's like he's about to tear it up.
But that'll bring up Max Flock with runner on first. So,
no, shout out to Nat, laying off the Swedish Fish for a month, and he looks like he's really. I mean, Nat. I don't know if anybody has seen Nat in a pair of shorts. I mean, Nat has a bodybuilder calves. The nickname Tippy Toe Joe really has paid off over 40 years of on the tippy toes. I mean, this guy.
And Burdett going down, and he's going to be in there safe. And it's a good throw from Tyler Keller, but unable to get Burdett, and his birdie almost kind of overslid.
So, personal. Do you like birdie in the 5-hole? I mean, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. We're just kind of debating here. What do you think? As
Flock will watch that one outside 3-0. I think it's been a good change of scenery. I think he started out really hot. Birdie hit probably lead off in the first 10 or 12 games for the Grenadiers, and then just I think not your stereotypical see a lot of pitches high on base guy is Burdett. He is very high bat to ball, so I think works better in maybe your 2 or your 5, right? And kind of those places in lineups where they're going to have more opportunities to have some guys on and be able to score runs or kind of keep things going. As Flock will watch ball 4 there.
Yeah, see, my vision of a lineup has nothing to do with whether you like Burdette in the 1 or the 5, because I feel like the 1 and the 5 are in a sense the same. Because I feel like if you divide the lineup into 2 lineups, you have a 1 through 4 and a 6 through 9. The 5, becomes like if the lineup's in order, he has a chance to extend a big inning or kind of cap off a big inning, right? Because if he hits an order in the first inning, he's going to be hitting with guys on and 2 outs, or just guys. There's going to be runners on base with a chance to drive guys in, or prototypically most good games, lineups that are extended usually are 3 to 4 guys, maybe 5 max. You're not going to probably boat race a lot of good teams in big games, so I see like the 5 will being like a second leadoff guy where he can either hit in a 2-out RBI situation, or he can lead the next section of the lineup off. I know that's kind of interesting. I know a lot of people have devoutly debated me over the years, thinking I was crazy. I mean, I had 30 assistant coaches.
2-0 pitch here to Murphy in there for a call strike. And one thing I think that more so, because I actually agree with you, and especially in the general sense, but for a player, I think there's so much just like stereotypical connotation that goes to the leadoff guy, right, or the 5-hole.
Yeah, but is that because of, not saying this name, but bad experiences, or because a lot of people, it's like if you sit down and say, how many college baseball games have you watched? You would, you've lived a lot of them, but guys don't go home on Saturday and go, oh man, UK's playing,
Murphy grounds that one to short, and good effort there. So they will get Flock at second for the first out, but no other play. So that'll be a fielder's choice
most
for
guys
Murphy.
Watch big league baseball, and to me, even being a scout, big leaguers just all kind of look the same to me. It's like when you think about unless you're talking about the '95 Braves and Ryan Klesko, feast or famine, to a T hitting 5-hole, or Fred McGriff or something like that. What I'm saying. Most people just don't watch a lot of. A lot of kids who come here on a recruiting visit and say, I want to play college baseball for you. Well, how many college games have you watched? Well, I mean, I live in a town with a college baseball team. Have you ever watched them play? It's like they have no really preconceived notion on what it really looks like. But I think it's interesting to actually get away from stereotypes and generalities of what something should be, and more talk about who do you want to see the most at the plate.
That one is going to be hit off the handle, or off the end, is Hazelwood. And so it's going to be interesting. We're going to see what's going on here. I don't know what call and who's made out, but they're going to call him a catch.
It's a trap.
As there's a ball was thrown away after regardless. So be interesting to see here. If it is called a catch in the air, Mackay should stay at second, as he did go back and tag. If not, Hazelwood will. And Mackay's leaving second. I don't know if I'd do that quite yet.
It's tough because the home plate umpire really doesn't have. You can't really, come to him because he's got to watch the backside runner, and
Grenadiers are going to get a run, it appears. And so they're saying that, as it's still very unclear to.
Yeah, but the shortstop kind of if
I think he tried to play it.
He tried to play it, but then he threw the ball to second base.
Well, yeah, I think he tried to play it down so he could turn 2 rather than catch it. So then that's why he went to second.
But then when you go to second, it just immediately refutes the coach's argument of he caught it. Well, if he caught it, then why did he then give the ball to? It's let's throw it around before we throw it over there. No,
yeah, but the run is going to score on the air by the shortstop, as it was thrown, or the second baseman rather, as it was thrown away. First pitch swinging there is calling long. So I think that's going to officially go down as a fielder's choice for Hazelwood. Out on the play is Mackay Stoner, who is running for Murphy at second, and then Burdett will score on the throwing error.
Something that I think is not taught enough, and I've actually talked to a coach the other day on the phone about this, is teaching the rules of the game. I think that's just like automatically we've played 100 games a year in travel ball, so we automatically know the rules. Where, for instance, okay, so the ball was thrown away as Hazy was running down the line. Why is Hazy still at first base? Like, I'm not saying that I could have went home to second on that, but like, you know what I mean? Like, if it was just a head down, run as hard as you can. I don't know. It's interesting. You know, like, this is kind of my thought process as a coach over the years, is like, what just happened? You know what I mean? Or I was like, wow, what? It's like in the dugout, like, what's going on? What happened? What happened? It's like
Breaking ball, not going to get the call there as that was outside. So count now 2-2 to Long. So 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Hazelwood at first.
But I remember in a lot of summer tournaments, like me, you know, serving up snow.
That one hit back up the middle on the screws. And going first to third is Hazelwood. And he's going to be there in time. So missile up the middle by Long. So Grenadiers 2 outs, still in business, runners on the corners.
The Grinnies, man, I mean, they got, I mean, if they needed a day of base running first to third, the first 8 frames did it. I mean, we've gone first to third more than I think we did in a month at some point last year.
That's one of the things that you all used to tell me, at least in some of our conversations, that you learned from Billy Berry, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone's always going 2 bases unless they tell you can't, right? Until they show you defensively that they're going to stop you from doing so.
Well, even when everybody goes 2 bases, you force the defense to make decisions which have, well, it's like anything else. If anybody out there has coached a youth team or high school team, or even going back to playing, if they played at a higher level or even in high school, your season is usually ended based on just a decision. It's the pitcher that picks up the bunt in the late innings and decides that he's going to, even if, let's say it's a good bunt, he picks up a bunt between, home and third base and turns around and decides he's going to try to stuff it, up a Nat's butt at first when there's really no play, and then there's traffic and the ball gets away, and,
As that one's going to be thrown into right, and that's going to be a walk-off hit, as that will put the run rule into effect. So Grenadiers are going to take game 1 by a final score of 12-2 in 8 innings. So the error comes costly for Ohio Christian as they are unable to withstand some 2-out pressure offensively from the Grenadiers. So that's going to do it for final score in game 1. Winning pitcher will be Luke Schaefer, as he is going to move to 3-1, and the loss is going to go to the starter for Ohio Christian, Tyler House. House moves to 0-2, and that's going to do it. A good offensive outburst here in game 1, but day not over for both Ohio Christian and IU Southeast, as in roughly 30 minutes or so, right around 5 o'clock, I am going to assume we will have game 2, which will be a 7-inning contest today, just for those wondering. So Grenadiers come out victorious here in mercy rule fashion by a score of 12-2 in 8 innings. So for those interested, we'll be back in roughly a half hour. But till then, for Ben Real, I'm Kyle Hawkins signing off, and we'll see you in a little bit.